My name is Mia Harper and I am 26 years old. I recently graduated from New York University with a bachelor's degree in fine arts. My journey into adulthood wasn't just about studying and finding a job. It was a story of family legacy, loss, betrayal, and discovering strength in the face of adversity. My mother, Lauren Harper, was a talented chef and the owner of a small bakery called Sweet Haven, located on a charming corner in Brooklyn. For my mom, the bakery was not just a job but a second home. A place filled with love and years of hard work. Every sweet treat, every loaf of bread, was the result of her hands, crafted from recipes she had tested and perfected over time. I grew up surrounded by the sweet aroma of flour and vanilla, spending countless late afternoons in the bakery, where the sunlight filtered through the windows, casting a warm glow on the neatly arranged pastries. My mother was not only a masterful chef but also a thoughtful woman who always knew how to organize life. Even before she fell ill, she had meticulously planned for my future, and for the bakery. Mia, this bakery is not just a business. It's our home, our roots. I want you to always have a place to return to, she would often say, as we kneaded dough or decorated cakes together. When my mom discovered she was ill, I had just turned 18 and been accepted into college. Instead of panicking, she calmly prepared for everything. She taught me how to manage the bakery, from ordering supplies and scheduling staff to interacting with customers. My mom always said that love and hard work were the key ingredients to making sweet and memorable treats. She wanted me to understand every small detail about the bakery, not only to carry on her work but also to keep a part of her memory alive with me. But life wasn't always as sweet as the pastries my mom made. My father, David Harper, left our family when I was just 10 years old. He departed quietly, without heated arguments or heartbreaking farewells. He simply packed his bags and walked out the door, leaving a vast emptiness in both my mother's and my heart's. Over time I learned he had left for another woman named Amanda. It wasn't long before he remarried and had a daughter, Lily. I still saw my father on weekends, but those visits were always brief and awkward. Amanda was polite and cordial, yet I never felt genuine warmth from her. She never said it outright, but every time I visited I felt like a guest in my father's new family. "Mia, would you like to stay for dinner?" Amanda would ask, her tone always polite yet laced with a subtle hope that I might say no. My father, always claiming he was busy with work, often left me sitting alone in the living room while he spent time with Lily and Amanda. My half-sister Lily, who was 12 years younger than me, was the center of attention in their household. I would watch as Amanda gently brushed Lily's hair, comforted her when she was sad, and celebrated every small achievement of hers. I couldn't help but feel like an outsider, always looking in on a warm family scene that never quite included me. Even so, my relationship with my father remained acceptable, albeit a bit distant. He paid for my entire college education, but it was through a single lump sum, more like fulfilling an obligation than an act of love. "Here's your tuition money. I just want to make sure you have a better future," he said, his tone flat, as if it were a business transaction. I accepted his help without asking further questions, believing at the time that this was probably the best he could offer me. When my mother passed away 3 years ago, it felt like my entire world had shattered. She was not only the one who nourished me with delicious meals and unconditional love, but also the person who always gave me strength whenever I felt worn out. Her passing left a void in me that nothing could fill. At that time, I was preparing to enter my final year of college, and the grief of losing her engulfed me in a fog of confusion and sadness. My father showed up at my mother's funeral, accompanied by Amanda and Lily. They entered my familiar home with solemn faces and offered warm hugs of comfort. My father held my hand tightly, his eyes filled with guilt and worry. "Mia, you don't have to go through this alone. Let me and Amanda move in with you for a while. We'll help take care of the house and get through this tough time together," he said softly. Amanda stood by his side, nodding in agreement. "Mia, I truly understand this kind of loss. We're family and we want to support you. At least until you feel more settled," she added, her voice sweet and sincere. Amid the overwhelming grief, I didn't have the clarity to question anything. The emptiness around me felt like a thick mist, making me yearn for someone. And what I didn't realize was that this decision would set off a chain of complex events, where secrets and truths would gradually emerge, forcing me to confront more than just the pain of losing my mother. This was only the beginning of my story. My life would soon take a sharp turn as the layers of deception were peeled away, and I would have to stand up to protect what was truly mine. After my mother passed away, the house seemed to lose its familiar warmth. Every corner reminded me of her, from the scarf she often draped over the chair, to the still-life paintings she created and hung in the living room. I felt lost in my grief, unsure where to begin. My father's presence, along with Amanda and Lily, initially felt like a warm blanket, shielding me from the cold loneliness. They were eager to help with everything, from cleaning the house to preparing simple yet nourishing meals. I told myself I was fortunate not to have to face the pain alone. The evenings we spent around the dining table, Lily's cheerful stories, and Amanda's gentle attention helped me temporarily forget the immense loss. My father often sat with me, sharing stories about my mother, recounting beautiful memories from the past, which somehow lightened the heaviness in my heart. However, deep down, a small voice warned me that everything seemed too good to be true. I ignored that feeling until the first signs of change began to appear. At first, their presence brought comfort. Amanda was always thoughtful, taking care of daily meals and keeping the house tidy. My younger half-sister Lily often created games to help distract me. My father also spent time talking with me, encouraging me to focus on my studies and finish my final year of college. Family dinners became lively, and Lily's laughter helped ease some of the pain of losing my mother. A few weeks later, as I was preparing to return to school, my father made a suggestion that seemed reasonable. "Mia, you should focus on your studies. Let Amanda and me stay here. We'll take care of the house and keep everything just as it was when your mom was here. You won't have to worry about a thing," he said gently but firmly. Amanda smiled and added, "I'll make sure everything stays neat and tidy. This will always be your home, Mia." Their sincerity reassured me. I felt lucky to have my family by my side during this difficult time. So, I agreed, leaving the house, my mother's keepsakes, and all my childhood memories in their hands, as I headed to New York to continue my studies. But when I returned home for the first time during winter break, everything seemed a little different. At first, it was just small changes, like my mom's favorite blue curtains being replaced with a dull gray, or the old armchair where she used to read had vanished. Amanda explained that she wanted to freshen up the space. "I just thought the house could look a bit brighter and more modern. Do you like it, Mia?" she asked with an innocent tone, and I couldn't bring myself to express the discomfort I felt inside. The changes didn't stop there. The next time I came home for summer break, I noticed that my mother's office had been turned into a playroom for Lily. My mom's books and documents were neatly stacked in a corner, making way for colorful toys and Lily's drawings. "Lily needs space to learn and create. I think your mom would understand," Amanda said softly when I expressed my concerns. My father sat next to her, silent as always, his eyes avoiding mine. Gradually, these changes were no longer random. Amanda began making more significant decisions without consulting me. She redecorated the living room, moving the only remaining family photo of my mother to a hidden corner of the hallway. Even during family meals, she gradually replaced my mom's recipes with entirely new dishes, as if she were trying to erase my mother's presence from the home. One evening, I accidentally overheard a conversation between Amanda and my father. "David, I think it's time we talk to Mia about this house. We can't live in this temporary state forever. If this is our home, then I want everything to truly belong to us," she said, her voice gentle but with a sharp edge. My father only nodded slightly, mumbling something I couldn't quite hear. A sense of unease rose within me. I began to pay more attention to the details. The utility bills were all in Amanda's name, and the family mailbox only contained letters addressed to my father and her. People in the neighborhood had become accustomed to seeing Amanda and Lily, referring to them as the Harper family, sometimes not even mentioning my name. I tried to talk to my father, but every time I received vague responses. "Amanda just wants everything to be better. Don't worry," he said. But I could see the exhaustion and helplessness in his eyes, as if he had lost control of everything long ago. Lily's attitude gradually changed too. She no longer chattered about school and her friends. Instead, she offered only short responses and shifty glances. "Mom said that room is mine now, so don't go in," she said when I tried to enter my mom's old office to find some documents. The room had become entirely Lily's, from the pink curtains to the walls covered in her drawings. The atmosphere in the house became increasingly stifling. I felt like a stranger in my own home. Every night, sitting in my bedroom, I couldn't stop wondering if I was being paranoid. Was I just too sensitive after losing my mom? But the signs became clearer. and my anxiety grew with each passing day. I knew I couldn't stay silent forever. What I had discovered was only the tip of the iceberg, and to protect my mother's legacy I had to uncover the truth hidden behind Amanda's sweet words and fake smiles. The day I graduated college was one of the happiest days of my life. After 4 years of hard work, I finally held my fine arts degree from New York University in my hands. I couldn't wait to return home, the place my mom always called our nest, where I had felt the safest. I eagerly imagined my father, Amanda, and Lily greeting me with warm smiles and open arms. But what awaited me was entirely different. As I stepped out of the taxi in front of the house, a strange feeling washed over me. Everything looked familiar, from the trees in the yard to the porch light that always cast a gentle glow in the evenings. But something wasn't right. I dragged my suitcase up the steps, my hand rummaging through my bag for the key, but when I inserted it into the lock it wouldn't turn. I tried several times, my palms sweating with anxiety, but the result was the same. I knocked on the door, gently at first, then more firmly. There was no response. I looked around. There were no cars belonging to my father or Amanda in the driveway. The windows were shut tight, the curtains drawn, blocking all light from inside. My heart pounded, each beat heavy with unease. I pulled out my phone to call my father, but the line was busy. I tried Amanda's number, but my call went unanswered. I left a message, my voice trembling with worry. A few minutes later, my phone rang. I quickly answered. It was Amanda. But instead of her usual gentle tone, I heard loud background music and her cold, detached voice. "Mia, what's going on? Why won't the door open? Where are you? Where's Dad?" I asked, my voice urgent. Amanda sighed, the sound carrying a hint of annoyance. "We're in Miami, just a family vacation. Didn't you get the message? Maybe you changed your number." I stood there stunned. A vacation? No one told me anything. What about the house? Why were the locks changed? "Oh, right, I changed the locks because of some security issues. You're not home often anyway, so I thought it wouldn't affect you." Her voice was so sweet it was almost unbelievable. "This is my house, Amanda. My mom left it to me. You can't just change everything without asking me," I said, trying to keep my composure. Amanda let out a small laugh, but it was filled with mockery. "Mia, you're so naive. This isn't your house. Your dad made it very clear to me. He said the house became his after he divorced your mom. I'm only helping to take care of our family's property." Each word from Amanda felt like a dagger piercing my heart. "Dad told you that? No way! My mom left a will and it clearly states this house is mine. Do you have any proof? If so, why haven't you shown it before? I think you need to be more realistic. Find a new place to stay. When we come back, I don't want to see you there." With that, Amanda hung up, leaving me standing alone in front of the locked door. I felt as if everything had crumbled around me. I sat down on the steps, my vision blurred by tears. The world seemed to spin and nothing made sense anymore. Why would my father lie to Amanda like that? Why would he let her believe this house was hers? Memories crashed over me like a tidal wave. In the early days when they moved in, Amanda had been so caring, Lily so cheerful, always pulling me into her childhood games. My father had constantly encouraged me to study, always telling me that this house would forever be my home. But now, it all seemed like nothing more than a perfectly crafted performance. I sat there for hours, my mind blank. Finally, as the sun began to set, I told myself I couldn't go on like this. I couldn't let them push me out of my own home. I stood up, wiped my tears, and resolved to find out the truth. If my father had lied, I needed to hear it from him directly. And if Amanda truly intended to force me out, she would have to face me. I began my investigation. I called the family lawyer, requesting to review my mom's will. The documents and legal papers my mom had once advised me to keep safe now became more valuable than ever. The deeper I dug, the more I realized how many things were not right. Recent utility bills were all under Amanda's name. Even the home insurance policy had been switched to her as the policyholder. The truth slowly emerged, like a curtain being pulled back to reveal the true faces of those I once considered family. Amanda didn't just want the house. She wanted to erase every trace of my mother. She had been quietly changing everything, turning me into an outsider in my own home. And my father, the one who should have protected me, had sided with them, helping them execute their scheme. I knew this battle wouldn't be easy, but if they thought I would give up without a fight, they were wrong. This house was my mother's legacy, a place filled with all the beautiful memories she left behind. I wouldn't let anyone take it away, even if I had to face betrayal and deceit from those closest to me. I was no longer the weak little girl I used to be. I would stand up, confront them, and protect what was rightfully mine. The battle had only just begun, and I was ready to face every challenge ahead. I didn't have much time to dwell on sadness or wait for answers from my father. After Amanda's sarcastic phone call, I realized I needed to act immediately if I didn't want to be pushed out of my own home. I sat on the porch steps, my phone trembling in my hand, but my mind became clearer and sharper than ever. I decided to start with the most practical step. I called a nearby locksmith and asked them to change all the locks on the house that same day. The locksmith arrived within an hour, and I stood by as each old lock was removed, and every new key was crafted. Every click of the new locks settling into place made me feel as if I was regaining control, bit by bit. While the locksmith worked, I didn't sit still. I began packing up my father's family's belongings. I opened every cabinet, pulled out every drawer, and sorted their things into boxes. From Amanda's clothes, Lily's personal items to my father's possessions, everything was neatly packed away, leaving nothing behind. I wanted them to understand clearly that they no longer had a place in this house. I found the things they had hidden or changed in the house. Family photos shoved into a corner of the closet, my mother's keepsakes forgotten under the bed. Each item reminded me of what they had tried to erase, every piece of evidence of how they had quietly taken over my mother's space. I carefully wiped the dust off an old picture frame and rehung my mother's photo in the center of the living room. I wanted them to see when they returned that this was my mother's home, not theirs. By the afternoon, when all the new locks were in place and their belongings were neatly stored in the garage, I sat down in the chair, calm and ready. I knew they would be back soon. I had left a message for my father informing him that I had changed the locks and asking them to speak with me directly when they returned. I wanted to look them straight in the eye when I told them the truth, when I asserted my ownership. As expected, their car pulled up around 6 p.m. Amanda stepped out first, her face flushed with anger. My father followed behind, his eyes avoiding mine, while Lily stood frozen beside the car, her gaze hesitant. "Mia, open the door now!" Amanda pounded on the door, her voice high-pitched and filled with anger. "What do you think you're doing? This is our house!" I stood up and slowly opened the door. My eyes met hers, calm and unwavering. "This is not your house, Amanda. This is my house. My mom left it to me, and I'm just taking back what belongs to me." "What are you talking about, David? Tell her the truth." Amanda turned to my father, expecting him to defend her. My father swallowed hard, his hands clasped together, fingers tightly intertwined. "Amanda, Mia is right. This house belongs to her. Her mother left it to her in the will, not me." Amanda stood frozen, her eyes wide with shock. "You're lying. You told me this house was yours, that you only let her mother live here temporarily after the divorce." I looked at my father, my heart turning cold. "So everything she said is true? You've been lying for years, not just to her but to me as well?" My father nodded, his face withered and worn. "I didn't know things would go this far. I just wanted to keep the peace, thought it wouldn't be a problem if everyone lived together." "Keeping the peace by pushing me out of my own home?" I asked, my voice still calm but devoid of any warmth. Amanda no longer held on to her usual facade of sweetness. "If that's the case, we'll take you to court. You can't just throw us out without notice. This is our home." "You're welcome to try," I replied gently, "but I have all the legal documents to prove my ownership. If you want to go to court, I'll see you there. But before you do, remember that all your belongings are neatly packed in the garage. You can take them any time." With nothing left to say, Amanda spun around, pulling Lily toward the car. My father remained looking at me with pleading eyes. "Mia, I don't know what to say. I was wrong. But please, don't make this harder than it needs to be. We're still family." I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. "You chose your new family a long time ago. I'm only protecting what Mom left behind. If you truly wanted reconciliation, you wouldn't have let things get this far." Finally, my father turned away. Their car slowly disappeared down the narrow road. I stood there, in the middle of the yard, feeling the soft breeze brush against my skin. A strange sense of relief filled my heart. Not because I had won this confrontation, but because I had finally found myself again, rediscovered the strength and courage my mother had always believed I had. That night, for the first time in years, I slept soundly in my own home, knowing that it truly belonged to me, both legally and in spirit. When the door closed behind my father and Amanda, the house suddenly became strangely quiet. But this silence was no longer frightening. Instead, it brought a sense of relief and peace. I stood in the middle of the living room, looking around at the walls that had once been altered by Amanda's hands, silently promising myself that this would be a new beginning, not only for the house, but also for my life. I began the process of restoring the house piece by piece, bringing everything back to my mother's memory. I rehung the light blue curtains she loved, placed her old armchair back in the corner where the morning sun could shine on it. I found the still life paintings my mom had created, cleaned their frames and hung them on the walls, bringing the house back to its warm, familiar look. Every morning I started my day by opening all the windows, letting the breeze and sunlight fill the space. I repainted the walls in a soft cream color, rearranged the furniture just as my mother had done. I even tended to the small garden in the backyard, where my mom had once planted vibrant lavender bushes. The feel of dirt on my hands, the gentle scent of flowers, it made me feel connected to her, as if she were still there helping me rebuild everything from scratch. But my efforts did not stop at the house. I began to think about Sweet Haven, the bakery where my mom had poured all her heart and love. The bakery had been closed since she passed away, its windows clouded with dust, the old sign hanging crookedly, as if a strong breeze could knock it down. But to me, Sweet Haven had never lost its light. It was still the place that held the most beautiful memories between me and my mom. I spent my weekends at the bakery, starting with cleaning and repairing. I painted the walls a warm yellow, replaced the old sign, and rearranged every table and chair. Each evening after work, I sat at the kitchen counter, opened my mom's recipe book, and experimented with the pastries she had once taught me. The scent of butter, sugar, and vanilla filled the small space, making me feel like my mom was right there, smiling as I mixed the dough. Gradually, I reopened the bakery. My first customers were neighbors, people who had known my mom for years and always remembered her sweet treats. "This smell! Just like the old days," said the elderly woman who lived next door, her eyes sparkling with joy. Her words felt like a push forward for me. I started promoting the bakery on social media, taking pictures of the pretty pastries, and sharing stories about my mom. The sincerity and love I put into each product slowly attracted more and more customers. One day, while I was busy at the kitchen counter, the doorbell rang. "Hello, I'm Harper from the local newspaper. Can I interview you about the journey to reopen this bakery?" A young woman, carrying a camera and a notebook, smiled at me. That interview brought the story of Sweet Haven to more people. Customers began to come from neighboring blocks and even farther away, just to taste the sweet flavors that held my family's story. As the bakery started to thrive, I gradually opened myself up to new relationships. I became friends with Harper, the enthusiastic young reporter, and together we participated in community activities, organized baking workshops for kids. Each time I saw a child smile as they made their own little pastry, my heart felt a warmth that I hadn't known for so long. The house and the bakery became the new beginning, the place where I built a more beautiful and meaningful life than ever before. I didn't just live for myself but also to continue my mom's dream, to keep the flame of love she had left behind. Whenever I felt tired or faced difficulties, I looked at the photo of my mom hanging in the corner of the bakery, where she always wore that gentle smile. Her smile reminded me that no matter what, I would always have a family in my heart and in the sweet treats of Sweet Haven. Life wasn't always easy, but I learned to face its ups and downs. I learned to set boundaries for myself, to protect myself from those who were not sincere. The lessons about self-respect, self-determination, and inner strength became invaluable baggage that helped me move forward on the path ahead. One autumn afternoon, as the golden sunlight gently stretched over the small street, I sat by the bakery window, watching customers enjoy sweet pastries and warm cups of tea. In that moment, I felt complete peace. I had found new strength and hope within my home and my bakery. And I knew that from here on I would continue to build a life full of meaning, a life my mom always wished for me, a life as sweet as the pastries I made, filled with love and sincerity. Mia Harper's story is not only about reclaiming her mother's house and bakery, but also about growth and rediscovering herself. From pain and betrayal, Mia learned to stand up, set clear boundaries, and protect what was hers. She transformed her house and the Sweet Haven Bakery into a place of new beginnings, filled with love, memories, and hope. Through this story, Mia reminds us that sometimes, to find true happiness, we must bravely let go of toxic relationships and believe in our own strength. What do you think about Mia Harper's story and her journey of self-discovery? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to hit follow to keep up with more inspiring stories about family, love, and growth.